Diabetes is a serious chronic health threat.
Diabetes.
Type 2 diabetes.
With diabetes.
Type 1
Diabetes.
diabetes. About diabetes.
Diabetes.
Anything can go wrong.
Pre-diabetes.
Diabetes.
It's amazing how much everything affects your blood sugar.
I'm Derek. I've had diabetes for 35 years. I got it when I was 8 years old, and I don't know any different, which has been, I feel like, a bit of a blessing. I don't have anything to refer to and be like, oh, I'm missing this, or this is what it's really like, because at such a young age, when I got it at 8 years old, who remembers before they were 8, right? It was a challenge at first, well, probably more for my parents than for myself. I remember the first couple years was, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why it happened to me. I still don't understand why it happened to me, but it's just kind of the way it went. And yeah, it came with a lot of challenges. Like I said, more for my parents, I think. Just learning what to do. And I was chatting with my dad a couple years ago about it, and he was like, okay, this is it. We're gonna be the best at this. It's not gonna stop us from doing anything. And I'm fairly certain that that attitude from my parents has given me the success up to today. Knowing that I can do anything, nothing's stopping me. Yeah, it's gonna add a few more challenges, but it's just kind of the way it is. It's the cards I've been dealt, and just deal with it. I don't have another option. Like, I can't turn it off. So just make the best of it, really. Like, yeah, it's a crappy situation, but I can actually use it to my advantage to really focus on my overall health. Because I eat something, I do exercise. I can see on my sensor almost instantly, well, not instantly, but pretty close, not long after, how it's affecting me. Like, oh, I know if I eat bad foods, this is gonna be a rough ride for a bit, or exercise, or yeah, it's just using it as a tool, I guess. It's probably been the best, worst thing that's ever happened to me. Overall well-being has probably been better. One, mentally, because like, okay, I feel like I have the upper hand. And physically, like, I know if I stay active and if I stay on top of it, that just all the stuff going inside the human body is somewhat right, or the way it should be. And that, which just leads to overall better health and just feeling better. More energy, like easier to get up in the morning, and more energy for the kids. Yeah, but when it goes a little sideways, I can feel like, okay, it's a bit of a reminder. You know, like, okay, you gotta tighten things back up. So, but yeah, overall, once I really took control of it fully, then yeah, I would say I felt better. Looking at everything I've learned, and like I just said, the best health tool I have, if a cure did come up, it would be a really hard decision to be cured or not. It would kill my parents to hear that, because they like fought with it hard, which I'm super thankful for. But I feel like I could maybe let my health slide if I didn't have that constant reminder of like, hey, you need to be better. So it's kind of a relationship with diabetes. You like, get better, you can be better. And meaning like, yeah, you're right, I should be. And once you try to be better, like the results of it, you just feel better.
I read a quote at the end of a book, and it said, if you want to live a good long life, get type 1 diabetes and take good care of it. Because you're aware of so much, you know a lot more about your body when you have something like that. So, I mean, yeah, there's lots of downsides, but there's other things too, right? Like you can have it dialed in where you're like, I know how to go for an hour-long bike ride, and yeah.
Diabetes can be a motivator for many people to maintain proper nutrition and activity. Many of your targets can be achievable if you make small, meaningful steps towards a controlled A1C. There are many scientists, actors, and athletes that also have diabetes and perform at the same level as their peers. So it goes to show that you can find success and not let diabetes hold you back.
I went to a presentation, and then one guy said that. He's like, yeah, if I could give it back, I wouldn't. It's like made me a better person. It's made me like fitter and healthier, and like And, you know, he's climbed Mount Everest, and he also did this crazy hike in Africa. Like, he's a really intense person, right? And he's like, I love it. I love diabetes. It's like something for me to like battle every day.
Activities is probably what has given me the most success with my diabetes, being active. My job, it's 10,000 plus steps a day. And when I have a day that's not active, it's hard. So I get up and do something, whether it's mowing the lawn or going for a walk or a run or a bike ride. Just being active, not only for diabetes health, but overall health, right? That's the key. If that's one thing that I could tell anybody about diabetes, don't be afraid to be active. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a learning curve. There's lots of information out there. I learned it, so anybody else can learn it too. But that is the key to my success, I feel, is not being afraid to move and just be active.
I tell most of my patients who are diagnosed with diabetes, it's a treatable condition. It's a condition that can be reversed or can go into remission. And the biggest thing that people can do in order to get to that place is to start working on moving your body and eating healthy. And moving your body is as simple as a 20-minute walk a day. And it can start with 10 minutes. If it's really hard for you to walk and you're really tired and you really haven't exercised in a long time, even just putting your shoes on and walking for 10 minutes a day, it will eventually lead to 20 minutes a day.
There's lots of easy things that you can incorporate into your daily routine or daily life that, you know, it doesn't have to feel like exercise. For instance, doing things like, say when you go to the grocery store, like carrying your grocery bags for some resistance exercise, or in the winter, if it snows, go out and shovel your driveway. We all drive, so you know, if you're going to a destination, instead of driving, if you want to walk, if it's close enough, things like that. Or if it's further, just park maybe 2 or 3 blocks away and get 5 minutes of walking in. Simple things like that, you know. Rather than taking the elevator, you can, you know, take the stairs up to where you're traveling. So things like that would be helpful.
You know there's going to be a positive result when you do the work. The work being going for a walk, going for a run. Yeah, you're not going to want to do it at the time, but you know at the end, like, okay, that was good for me. I feel better for that. You can't be afraid to work. Life's hard. Sorry. This isn't easy. Like diabetes it's hard, but you got to be able to work hard. It hasn't stopped me from doing anything. And the day it does is, I just don't see it happening actually. Like diabetes isn't going to stop me from whether I want to try to start rock climbing or do marathon running, anything like that. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to show people that I can do it because I have diabetes. It's not going to stop me.
There are many benefits of increasing exercise and improving your diet. However, there are things like illness that can affect your blood sugar control. That's why it's important to develop an action plan with your healthcare team, just in case of emergencies.
I feel if you don't have the experience, that an action plan is going to be key. It's almost like a flow chart being, I have a low blood sugar. This is the first thing I do. This is what I do next. And watching the blood sugars after. It's just knowing the action plan is going to cause you to have the knowledge of how to deal with pretty much every situation, hopefully, if that action plan is, you know, set up properly. It can be a very useful tool for sure. And knowing who to contact and at what times. And when to be patient and when you need to deal with something right now, like that's going to break down to an action plan. Because if you don't know from experience, then you need to have some sort of reference or some sort of knowledge in your back pocket that you have some confidence with to deal with each situation you're in.
An action plan for any chronic illness is probably sensible, depending on the individual and what they understand about their illness. And diabetes type 1 is no exception. When people are sick, their sugars will go up, and that's an expected thing. And type 1 and type 2 do get treated slightly different in that regard, in terms of the likelihood of becoming seriously unwell. But they both should have a discussion with the diabetic team specialists or even your family doctor, if you have one, or nurse practitioner, to discuss what kind of things you do in these predictable events. And I do think they're essential. When I think of my patients in my practice, often we discuss these things actually pretty broadly. But as time goes on, it becomes more and more apparent what is going to be likely to happen for them. To get the ball started, get the ball rolling when you first get a diagnosis, I think it is really helpful to see a primary care provider, either a nurse practitioner or a physician. I believe we're going to be a physician assistants some of these days, and that's a very good place to start. Here in Vernon, at least for the Shuswap North Okanagan, we do have a pretty good diabetic education team, and with all best intentions, primary care providers often don't have enough time to go through the things in detail that the patients need. So we do often rely heavily on the allied health care team to help with those sort of details. So in my practice, anybody who's a newly type 1 diabetic or someone who's going on insulin will go see the diabetic education team. And anyone who has any questions at all will also go see them. If they're people that are very comfortable with the diagnosis and living a certain way, then we don't necessarily do that depending how busy they are. But the more the better when it comes to information like that. For anyone who has a chronic illness, it's worthwhile to just read broadly, not think too much about one resource being the only thing, and to try and take in as much information, gather your questions, go into your primary care provider prepared on what you want to ask, because being spoon-fed doesn't actually work very well. It really is much better when people come in prepared with, this is what I do, is this the right thing, or how much do I need to go on this? Do I need a pump? Do I need a constant glucose monitor? All these other different questions that we can answer based on their individual situation. And it really does, in this circumstance, it really does matter for the individual.
Mindset around diabetes is, oh, it's a burden on me. It's this, why did I get it? I was there. Everybody's been there. I wish I got to the point I am now sooner, but it is what it is. And I'm here now and just make the best of it. And it kind of comes and goes in waves. Like sometimes there's a couple weeks where I'm just like, ugh, this sucks. Other times it's not like that. And I try to limit the crappy times and take advantage of the good ones. It can be intimidating and scary knowing the things that could happen if you don't do the work. But doing the work is way easier than dealing with the bad stuff that could happen if you don't do the work. There's going to be work involved regardless of what it is, whether it's a job, kids, family, a chronic disease. There's work. You can't expect this thing to take care of itself, because it doesn't. Because I have to try and do something that a non-diabetic's body naturally does. So it's going to require work.
I guess finding the motivation to motivate patients with diabetes to kind of take control of their health. Often with smoking, there's a reason like, okay, well, I'm going to save X amount of dollars by not smoking because a pack of cigarettes is, well, I don't smoke, so I don't know what a pack of cigarettes costs these days. But, well, if I save all that money, then I can afford a trip to go to Mexico. Whereas it's kind of hard with diabetes, like, okay, well, what's your motivation? Like, is it, okay, well, I want to be around for my grandkids or something like that. So finding something that kind of hits home for that patient, or it's, oh, okay, well, I want to be able to like run a half marathon or something, or finding some kind of reason like why they want their health to be where it needs to be.
Biggest change for me when I started taking it more serious, or maybe actively taking more control, was, I would say, when responsibility came along of having kids and understanding that, okay, I have a chronic disease, that if I don't take care of myself the best I can, I'm not going to be there for them when they need me. Like, it's not going to be right away, but maybe when they're 20, dad's not going to be around because he didn't take care of himself.
Diabetes has no cure. However, remission is possible to go into a pre-diabetic or non-diabetic state without the need for medications. Some people cycle between relapse and remission, and that's okay. Every attempt is beneficial, even if remission isn't possible, as you can improve your health just by trying. The earlier the intervention, the higher likelihood of reducing your medication needs.
A lot of studies are currently being done, and there's really beautiful pilot programs even here in the Okanagan, piloted by UBCO, where it's been proven that diabetes is reversible with diet and lifestyle changes alone.
You just keep working and you're going to get those results long term. Is That's always in the back of my mind. Like, oh, is this going to creep up and catch up on me? But I know the work I've been doing is either preventing that or prolonging it.
It's not the end of the world. I think, it's never too late to change. I think now is the time to start implementing change, and it can really help to lessen the symptoms. It only gets better, and the symptoms can even go away depending on how severe your symptoms can be. For those at risk of becoming a diabetic or those who have prediabetes, it's really important to start now, because you can prevent yourself from actually getting into that full-blown diabetic patient population. And that can be through diet and exercise. Hopefully at this point we can, we don't have to take medications. So physical activity has been shown to be as effective at this point as many medications are. And for myself, I'm not one to take medications. I know many people aren't. So that's really important to do at this time.
Diabetes in itself is a structural problem often that can be circumvented, and you can do everything you want to do, and there's some subtle changes you need to do to make it work the best way for you. But for me, of all the diagnoses you can get, it's not a terrible one if you can live in a way that makes you happy and you can control your illness.
Been a journey for sure, but it's given myself a lot of confidence knowing that, like, it's pretty much one of the hardest things I feel like a person has to deal with. And that transfers into everything else in my life, whether it comes to my work, raising my kids, even smaller things like that. Diabetes can be a confidence builder. When you figure out what works for you or what doesn't, and you use that to your advantage, it can be an odd gift to have. Like I said, it's the best, worst thing that's ever happened to me. And I use it as a tool, and anybody can use it as a tool to make themselves healthier and mentally stronger. It's been hard for sure, and it's gonna be hard. There's gonna be hard times, but when you gain the experience and know how to deal with those hard times, it just gets better, because you get the knowledge, you get the experience, you get the confidence that I know how to deal with this. I can put all my knowledge of each little individual situation, put it to this one situation, and just take advantage of it. There's so many resources out there, being so many professionals, people with diabetes that can help. Don't be afraid to ask for it, because that's what gets you to where you want to be. It might seem like it's the end all be all, like it might seem that way right at the beginning, but it isn't. It doesn't have to be. It gets better, it gets easier. The more knowledge you have, the more experiences you have, you can do anything. And you can actually be healthier for it. I would say 100%. It's made me stronger, it's made me more confident, it's made me healthier. I would say I've been very successful with diabetes, and anybody can.
I absolutely consider myself living well with diabetes.
I'm living well with diabetes, I am.
I am living quite well with diabetes.
Yeah, as a mom of 2 with gestational diabetes, I was living well.
I'd say I'm living well.
Thanks for watching our series on living well with diabetes. As you can see, diabetes can affect all ages, nationalities, and fitness levels, but it can be managed effectively, allowing for a full life. This requires some effort and lifestyle changes, but it's well worth it to avoid serious health issues. Building a supportive community and focusing on mental health is just as important as physical health. Make small, sustainable changes and set SMART goals to improve your health. There are many resources available to help you thrive. Whether you have diabetes or not, these health tips are beneficial for everyone. I hope that you've learned from everybody's experiences and expertise shared throughout this series, and understand that living well with diabetes is possible for anyone.